position is also slow, and I don't think you really want to go into a late game where you're even or slightly behind against the comp that Afrika have drafted.
Yeah, I think Afrika's comp's very scary. I think the late game potential on the side of Damwon Kia can't be scoffed at either. I actually don't necessarily see who's outright going to be ahead in the later stages of the game, especially not after a few ornaments have come in from Khan's Ornn. But if you're talking about around, you know, level 12, 13, things like that, I think that's when this Afrika comp's really going to come online. If they can fight around, you know, a potential 4th dragon or something like that, it really does depend on where all of this pressure is going to go in the early stages and who can set themselves up for the success in this particular game. Because for the first time, Damwon Kia have Aphelios and Thresh. Khan picked it up blind, and Keen had the gangplank there to make sure that things were going to go okay, as Fly's already having an awful time in this lane.
There is some movement here actually from Dread to try to relieve this pressure because he knows Graves isn't here, so they're actually going to collapse.
Yeah, it's a big flash barrel. Immediately going to flash out as now Ghost takes a very short lantern ride, but I think it might be enough to keep them alive. It's a Cloud Drake, so even if they take it, it's uninteresting.
Yeah, but somebody might die as Khan is rotating down. I think Canyon has found himself in a really awkward spot here, but they're going to collapse.
Oh no. Gameplay button comes through, but the stopwatch is there for Dread. He's going to be able to flash out, but Canyon has a flash for him. Dredge line there to try and keep him alive, and that blast cone was amazing. We have no first bloods, but we do have potentially a turret plate going down. As I say it, Lahen's going to get exhausted here. Titan's Wrath comes in, but that's a good hook from Beryl. Cannon Barrage comes through, and Lahen's is going to survive.
Very, very early survivability gone for him. He's got his, oh no.
Yeah, he does have the Lilting Lullaby. There is a Lantern Ride as he falls asleep. Ghost is going to have to sacrifice Beryl here. I think the Flay does absolutely nothing. It's a great sidestep there from Bang as Canyon's over the wall. Dread is going to trade this one for one. Feels a little bit like a no-rush 20, much like Valdez and I were experiencing yesterday, as Canyon's looking to try and prove me wrong here, coming for a potential dive. As there's the Ornhorn from Khan, will get the knock-up onto the gangplank. He flashes, but you can't flash twice, and the collateral damage will pick him up. The trade will be there with the Cloud Drake, but it's a Cloud Drake like we were talking about. So, a kill onto Keen going to be very valuable here for Damwon Kia.
Yeah, they're not going to go ahead and commit. We'll watch it again here as Khan is able to set up the Ornhorn, which I think is what Keen had confidence he could avoid, and was therefore feeling like he was going to be fully safe. He knew Canyon was coming up, because otherwise why would this trade be happening so aggressively? The turret aggro goes to Canyon actually, who has more health there.
Champions with a lot of high-powered and high-value ultimates towards the later stages of the game. A lot of extra damage coming through from Keen. The utility is great from Khan as sleep does come through. Depth charge comes down as well. Dredge line's good as there's the shockwave. Only lands onto one, but that might be all they need as Bang looks to try and collect the kill with the Void Seeker, but instead just has to agree.
That bot side. And when you have, hold that thought, Dread.
Yeah,
that is only
trouble here. Spins around a lot as there are so many AoE abilities. It will be picked up by Canyon in the end as Fly cops a gameplay button to the face and has to run out of there. Thankfully, has a few extra stats. No, Zonya's actually utilized there by Dread, just a bit too far out of position, unfortunately.
A really favored fight for the Aphelios. If you can get into position, they're actually just not here, simply put, and that's just going to go over a free. Damwon Kia have to get something else on the map. They're just going to lose this fight.
Yep, massive CC chain there onto Canyon. He wasn't allowed to play the game. They just said no. And Lahen's been playing very, very well in this one. Fly, decent flash, gets him out of the way, and just the tip of the hook. Not quite enough. As Keen has quite a large advantage. He's been parlaying a bunch of minions here as Canyon. Oh dear, he's going to have a snooze, but not before taking the blast cone out. The flash after from Dread, but Canyon's just going to flash his way away. And that, ladies and gentlemen,
I feel like that's a lot more valuable on a Graves a lot of the time, as you're going to see a big engage here.
Yep, Bang gonna have to flash out as well, as a lot of damage from the Lilia, and that no flash that you were talking about comes into great effect here for Damwon Kia as this Mountain Drake has just spawned.
Just a small mistake that cost them big.
Well, this one might cost them as well, as there's the exhaust down onto Keen. Thankfully, Khan can just build himself summoner spells whenever he loses them.
We could see some big sleeps, but in general, you know, it does feel like, as we're going to see Keen get picked here, again, just didn't have vision. It feels like in general, you know, Damwon Kia are the stronger team in late game, and that's scary when you have an Ornn. And if Afrika Freaks decide to aggressively engage, you know, or try to take a fight in this Baron pit, I think a bit overzealously when Damwon Kia are so close by. I mean, sure, they have to clear some of this vision, but Showmaker, he could do a lot in this upcoming fight with a big stun.
Well, Cannon Barrage is going to try and zone them away from this Baron as Beryl is the only one that might get sleepy here is Khan. This goes in, man. He's able to get out of there as well. He's just chilling in this mid lane, continuing to farm. Because that's a nice double stun out from Showmaker. Just grabs the pick onto Lehens. He'll trade it, but takes a lantern to get himself out of the way of the shockwave. And that is going to be another comfortable kill. The triple sleep from Dread is just way too late. And Damwon will take down the inner turret here as well.
I'll just always
I think Rhymeforged Grasp is the one that he's put together. Just has a few extra stats. Doesn't really mean too much. Is Canyon going to take a lantern? Gets himself out of almost all of the CCs. Lehens just going for the forced engage. There's the shockwave. They get rid of Canyon. Ghost has to flash, but Bang has a flash after him. As the Moonlight Vigil not going to be enough, and Beryl also going to get tidied up here by Afrika. So many Barons now missing as Khan going 1v5. Showmaker's here, but he misses the stun. Khan has the flash. I'm just not sure whether that teleport was the greatest of ideas.
Can't forget about Bang's really good, decisive decision-making in late game on the Kai'Sa he's had. Okay, Fly.
Yeah, Fly caught out of position. Didn't have anything available.
Because we've got Baron up. The player you lose, Fly, is one of the best ones to control this zone that Afrika have with Shockwave. And I mean, even walking over here is probably overzealous. Just going to try to chunk down Damwon Kia, who do get the Baron
after the fact, but it happened. It was great capitalization from Damwon Kia, and Lehens is now, I'm not even sure. He's going on a merry ride as Ghost is going to chase after him. He's got Gravitum, so that's just going to be a stun and destruction out from the Aphelios.
Only hits 2, but they could collapse. They have to.
They have 2 very good ones as the stopwatch is fantastic. Timing on the shockwave also good, but not good enough. Moonlight Vigil comes down and Lehens has to go into his stopwatch to avoid it. Canyon's going to go down, I believe, very, very far away from the fight enough to stand on the front line. I mean, Lehens was their only real choice, and he wasn't even strong enough, really, as Khan. He's the super tank, and another kill going over to Showmaker. That's an unofficial triple, I believe, as now he's looking for his next one. Ghost is going to be able to pick it up, and ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the game. Damwon Kia will be able to take down these Nexus turrets, then the Nexus, and then get themselves some reprieve after their difficult series against Bro.
Horn one more time. Khan escapes. Calculated.
Absolutely.
Well, Atlas, this is definitely not a game that anyone's going to write home about, but
some of the damage that was done, Keen certainly doing a lot with his barrels as well as his cannon barrages. But this is a number that you often see for Gangplanks, whether they're on the winning side or the losing. And unfortunately for Keen, it's once again a loss for the Gangplank. King, and I think, fell prey to this earlier in the season as well. Obviously, top damage is going to be Showmaker, actually 10k more.
Welcome back everybody to the LCK Analyst Desk. Today we'll be joined by Tony and also the Old Tigers, Gorilla and Crow. And this is season with the translation. Welcome everybody. We are starting off with a match between Afrika Freaks and Damwon Kia, both teams who dropped their match in the last series. Damwon Kia was able to lock down their victory in Game 1. And Damwon Kia brought a new winning recipe. This time around, they were playing all around their bottom lane. Well, they did use Aphelios, but not together with Thresh. And Thresh was the new addition to their comp, and also they also banned out 2 of the top lane champions in the second phase. In addition to that, Khan was playing Kale Nar, more like a carry role, but this time around he brought in Ornn, a very reliable champion, a champion that can support his teammates. I think today's Damwon Kia's draft was really comfortable, you know. It has this balance and also they have this safety net for his teammates. Moreover, I personally think that Afrika Freaks, they had the power in the mid and late game, but maybe they had some wrong decision around the Baron, and that was where they kind of dropped the ball. And we are seeing a lot of Orianna versus Syndra matchup, and it's all about their mechanics. And Syndra has a very early level CC, so she can play with the jungler, whereas Orianna has to wait until level 6, and those were the moving parts for Fly as well. But we can also claim that Syndra was performing a little bit better than the opponent. Now let's take a look at the highlights. Down on the bottom lane where we had Aphelios and Thresh versus Kai'Sa, a very common matchup here in the LCK. So watch here, Linghans actually uses all of his wards very fast because he knew that Damwon Kia will come to control the vision around their own red camp. So he was looking for a reset, but they saw Aphelios back on the lane, so Kai'Sa groups up with her teammates instead of going down to the lane. So Africa Frix was able to have a faster support from his teammates, so they were able to outnumber the opponents and win this skirmish. Africa is indeed a very strong team, especially in the early stage. After this perfect setup, Africa was able to have the momentum of the game, and somehow in this game they also came back with better decision making. So let's take a look at this highlight where Africa was able to kind of minimize their loss after giving away the Baron over to Damwon Kia. So Dread predicted the location of Graves and played really well with the help of the sweeper. So he had a slight hint of his location, so he landed his bowling ball, and then a nice CC engagement coming out from Linghans in order to lock down multiple kills. The reason why the teams are preferring Kai'Sa is because she can play more proactively compared to other champions. And Kuro also agrees that Kai'Sa is on the higher tier compared to Aphelios. However, once again, Africa was not able to close out the game, so Damwon Kia was able to push forward with their momentum. And the POG on the side of Damwon Kia will be Showmaker on Syndra. Syndra was having priority all throughout the game, especially in the laning phase. So even when his team was behind, well, Damwon Kia was able to win fights based on the power level that Syndra had. She had massive damage output, and also she had a clean lane priority. She had a massive performance during the team fights as well. The way she ignored the Orianna ultimate and then survived with the Lantern was really on point. Showmaker Syndra is one of the menace here in the LCK, as we all know. And some of the teams are already banning it out. Syndra was definitely the main character of this game, so he was able to pick up 9 votes. And Khan also showed a decent performance on Ornn as well. With this Showmaker POG, Damwon Kia was able to secure the Game1 victory. Let's find out if Africa Frix can come back or whether Damwon Kia can get us a solid win.